Tonight, they've been undelivered for a year. What happened to 20,000 letters from health services? Also tonight, a Mount Pearl man is facing an attempted murder charge after a stabbing last night. The RNC has a new 3D scanner that changes how crime scenes can be analyzed. We'll learn all about it.
Local lobster, pretty much cooked daily, which we poach off in a butter bath with some fresh herbs, and then we pack that into a toasted brioche bun.
We'll head to Norris Point, where renowned chef Jeremy Charles is spending his summer running a food truck.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Peter Cowan. A man in his 70s is in hospital tonight with serious injuries, and a Mount Pearl man is facing an attempted murder charge for an alleged stabbing. Terry Roberts has the details.
Colin Gerard English, 49 years of age. He appeared Friday morning before Provincial Court Judge Phyllis Harris on a long list of charges, including attempted murder. Police officers rushed to a house on Missioner Avenue in Mount Pearl on Thursday night. Inside, they found a 72-year-old man with serious injuries, consistent with a stabbing. English was arrested at the scene. In addition to attempted murder, he's also charged with multiple counts of aggravated assault, assault with a weapon, and robbery. Both men are known to each other. English is alleged to have previously assaulted the older man, with charges before the court dating back to late 2024. English wore a blue sweatshirt and sweatpants and had his hands cuffed behind his back during his court appearance. He did not make any statements. He remains in custody and will be back before a judge on July 11th for a bail hearing. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
The RNC says they've made a big bust in the Airport Heights neighborhood of St. John's this week. Police seized 2 guns as well as multiple magazines of ammo, $100,000 in cash, as well as pills and 1.5 kilos of cocaine. The RNC says an arrest was made, but charges are pending. The investigation is ongoing. Well, there are thousands of letters that were handed to Canada Post, but never made it. They were sent by the health authority, and they've finally been returned. Rob Antle has the details.
Over a year ago, Newfoundland and Labrador Health Services sent out 20,000 pieces of mail, many of them to patients. But last month, the health authority says it got some unexpected news from Canada Post. Those letters had sat unclaimed in community mailboxes for over a year.
The types of mail would be patient appointment letters or invoices to our patients and suppliers. So those would have been the intended recipients for much of that mail.
The backlog of returned mail came here and here. Now work is ongoing to see if there were any impacts on patients.
Because of the volume and the fact that this had been in community mailboxes for an extended period of time, we felt like a priority needed to be put around it. So as soon as we started receiving mail, programs and services reviewing the mail in their areas to determine if any missed appointments or delayed communications or other patient impacts. No patient impact has been identified thus far, and it really seems to be localized mainly in the eastern urban area.
That area covers Metro St. John's. It includes CBS to the west and stretches from Witless Bay to Pooch Cove.
It was a Canada Post issue. The root cause of the issue wasn't a systems breakdown within Newfoundland and Labrador Health Services.
In an emailed statement, Canada Post says last fall's labour disruption helped cause the backlog, as they prioritised current mail and parcels instead of return to sender items. Now work is underway to catch up. The health authority relies on Canada Post, sending 2.5 million pieces of mail annually. Rob Antle, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, staying with healthcare news, Premier John Hogan says government will continue to look into money spent on contracted agency nurses in this province. Today is the first time the Premier has commented publicly on the issue since the Auditor General released a scathing report on private travel nurses last week. The report shows Newfoundland and Labrador Health Services spent over $240 million on agency nurses since 2022. Hogan says if people in the healthcare system weren't following proper procedures and policies, he wants them to be held accountable.
It's unacceptable for any entity of this province, and the government included, to be paying things that aren't in line with what is needed to be paid out. We need to continue to further look at that, and anyone that did something in error or improper or didn't follow policy or procedure, we certainly need to look at that and hold that person to account. So I don't want to conflate the issues. We are, as I said, trying to decrease and support NLHS and decreasing the reliance on agency nurses. But our mandate, and their mandate, of course, is always to provide the best possible health care to Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. But we need to do it making sure that every dollar that's spent on healthcare in this province goes towards healthcare.
Crime-solving tools are evolving. The RNC has a new 3D scanner that changes how evidence can be analyzed, and it might make a big difference for judges and juries.
What we have behind us is a simulated crime scene that we constructed to demonstrate some of our instruments and techniques that the forensic identification section can typically use at scenes. So we constructed it to look like a sudden death. We have a few elements here that you can see. Obviously there's been a bloodletting. There's some significant synthetic blood that we've used for these purposes. We have some apparent drug paraphernalia, some weapons that are lying around. You'll see some powders that have been used to highlight footwear and latent fingerprints, as well as some trajectory rods that are put in to show potential directionality of projectiles. These officers, they get extensive training when they enter the forensic identification section at colleges. When they first enter our section, they go away to either the Ontario Police College or the Canadian Police College to get their foundational training. And then after that, they also can get some more specialized training in various aspects of forensics. For our in-house purposes, sometimes when we're acquiring new equipment, we need a way to train on that and get practice on those, because we don't want to wait until a scenario arises in the real world to use that for the first time, of course. So sometimes we'll do setups in our lab over in forensics or here in the training section to give the officers an opportunity to use the instruments, employ the techniques, and get a firm handle on these new devices that we are lucky enough to acquire. We learned about 3D scanning a few years ago when we were doing a shooting reconstruction workshop. And at that shooting reconstruction workshop, a 3D scanning company did attend to show us how a 3D scanner could help us at shooting scenes in particular. And so that really kind of opened our eyes to the possibilities that 3D scanning could offer our forensic identification section. So what this instrument does, it's simply on a tripod, and takes very quick scans capturing millions of data points. So it reconstructs the scene in 3D. So it gives you a real visual depiction of what we have here in front of us. It's also accurate down to about 3 millimeters. So measurements can be taken after the fact. Of course, measuring and all kinds of work goes into the scene at the time. But from the 3D scans, you can still do measuring after the fact as well. You can look at, for example, trajectory for projectiles, and it can insert all kinds of different information and incorporate information from the scene into that one 3D image. So it can be visualized for court, it can be visualized by juries and judges, and also by other scientists who may need to look at the scene or other officers who may need to look at the scene. So it's a really great tool. Every tool that we bring into the forensic identification section is to enhance what is found at scenes, is to improve our ability to find evidence at scenes. So every tool that we employ has a purpose, and the hope is that when those tools are employed, we'll find more evidence, and that will enhance the investigation.
Well, staying with crime scenes, we head to Labrador now, where there have been several incidents this week at a bar in Happy Valley Goose Bay. Last night, a masked man with a shotgun attempted to rob the Shed pub, but fled the scene on a dirt bike after being confronted by an employee. The RCMP says the investigation continues. Now, this follows an unrelated assault that also happened at the same pub early Saturday morning. The RCMP says the victim there was treated in hospital, while the 3 suspects fled the area in a truck. Police say that truck was reported at 2 residential break-and-enters. This led police to arrest a 38-year-old woman and a 21-year-old man, as well as a person under the age of 18. All three face several charges, including aggravated assault. Well, the province has awarded a contract for the construction of a new school in Cartwright. JMJ Holdings will build the replacement to Henry Gordon Academy. The contract is worth $38.4 million and includes the demolition of the existing school and the construction of the new K-12 school with housing for teachers. Well, one of this province's culinary marvels has taken on a new passion project, a food truck. Chef Jeremy Charles has left the downtown restaurant scene in St. John's and opened a shop next to the ocean in Norris Point. The CBC's Colleen Connors visited King Lobster.
Well, secret spice.
Spice and a brioche bun jammed with fresh lobster, poached in butter and tarragon. I mean, come on. No cold fish and mayo here.
Local lobster, which has been pretty much cooked daily, which we poach off in a butter bath with some fresh herbs, and then we pack that into a toasted brioche bun, and we're serving that with some salads, some homemade coleslaw, pickles, and a choice of drink.
That's what you can get here at the big black shiny food truck next to the bay in Norris Point, right in the middle of Grossmore National Park. After leaving the restaurants in St. John's, Charles needed a passion project for the summer. Charles owns a house in Norris Point and enjoys salmon fishing, so it was a good fit.
It's been an amazing experience so far. I mean, I've only been open for a week, but the feedback's been great, and meeting so many wonderful people, and it's just great to be part of the community. And you know, I really want to try and give back to the culinary community out here to give people another option. You know, and I really think tourists want to taste the terroir of our landscape, and you know, what better way than to come and have some beautiful seafood, you know?
Yes, the seafood. Charles just got back from a quick boat trip to Woody Point, where he snagged 200 pounds of fresh lobster. Now it's time to clean them and separate the claws before a quick boil in the big pots out back. He took yesterday off to go fishing. Now it's prep time. But that doesn't stop the long lines of people coming by looking for a lobster roll. They'll just have to wait a few more hours. Charles is mostly running this truck solo, with help from other restaurant staff, locals, and his son Hank. But it's not easy in a small community, getting things like enough ice, propane, or lobster.
It's not easy. Nothing's easy. And, you know, that's why, you know, I'm up and at 'em every day and just trying to make this happen. And, you know, good food takes time. And again, we're making everything from scratch. And, yeah, it's exciting to cook that way.
Now comes the best part. Charles takes the fresh lobster and douses it in a big vat of butter, before plating pretty much a full lobster on each roll. For those wanting a taste, Charles says it's best to check his social media for operating hours. He plans on keeping King Lobster open until the end of August, and plans on coming back next summer as well. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Norris Point.
Well, the food fishery is open again this weekend. As usual, the recreational fishery is set to run from Saturday until Monday, every weekend until the end of August. As well, there's a fall season for a week in late September. You're allowed to catch 5 cod per day with a maximum of 15 per boat. And coming up after the break, I'll speak with the leader of the PCs about why he thinks it's time for people to be allowed to fish 7 days a week.
Well, the temperatures over the last couple of days have certainly been warm. Today, no different. Certainly feeling that humidity. The warmest temperatures were actually east today, about 24 degrees in St. John's. That was the hot spot across the province. Labrador, though, your temperatures are in the teens as well. And that humidity, we haven't really seen a whole lot of it up across Labrador, but as we head through next week, with the weekend and into next week, it is certainly going to feel humid. But it's going to feel a little muggy across the island as we head through the next couple of days. We've got some RDF on tap tonight. Risk of thunderstorms as we head through the day tomorrow. Some of them may be fairly heavy. And then we've got some rain that will move in late day Sunday as well for parts of the province. I'll get into all the details a little later.
We're coming up to the second weekend of the food fishery, but if it were up to the leader of the provincial Progressive Conservatives, the fishery wouldn't just be limited to Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Tony Wakeham is calling for it to be expanded all the way from July 1st right up to October 1st. And we've caught up with him on a wharf in Lewisport. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here, Peter.
So explain your reasoning. Why do you think it should be open for a lot more days of cod fishing during the summer?
For me, it comes down to fairness and safety. Fairness to be treated like the rest of Atlantic Canada. In the sense, Newfoundland and Labrador, the people of Newfoundland and Labrador have relied on cod. It was a staple in our diets for years, and the moratorium put a hold on that. And now, since we've seen the opening of the commercial fishery, there's an opportunity for people to make cod part of their diet again, and perhaps more involved in it. And we talked about the high cost of food, and there's a real opportunity here. People of Newfoundland and Labrador traditionally have used cod as a source of food, and I think it would be appropriate for us to be able to continue to do that. The safety part of it comes about, of course, because we're now forcing people to go out on only weekends, and that creates a feeling that people have to go out. And I think if you open it up a full week, that would give them the same opportunity as others in Atlantic Canada, and they can decide to go out and catch their quota on the day that works best for them.
So when you talk to DFO, they limit it right now to 39 days throughout the year, and their argument is conservation because they want to limit the number of fish that are caught in total, so they limit the number of days. How do you address that concern that the cod stocks, while they've improved, are still not where they once were, and you're looking to more than double the number of days that people could go out and fish?
Well, that comes down to DFO actually managing the fishery. And if they had if they managed it, we're not talking about increasing quotas. We're talking about allowing people to be able to catch their quotas spread throughout the week, as opposed to forcing them out on weekends. So, DFO has a responsibility here to treat Newfoundlanders and Labradorians equal to other Canadians, especially in Atlantic Canada, and they need to manage that.
So you talk about not expanding the quota, but right now the quota is you can catch 5 fish per person per day. If you double the number of days, theoretically you double the number of fish that people would be able to catch.
Well, that's why it's so important for the fisheries management to be done. And DFO has responsibility here to decide on what that number is. Whether people go out once a day, whether they go twice a day on weekends, that remains to be seen. But what I'm getting at is the idea of let's establish what that quota is, and let's allow people to catch their quota spread out over the entire week instead of forcing people to go out just on weekends.
DFO had something similar to this in the sort of idea phase. They were talking about opening it all summer, but switching to tags. So you had to go and buy. You got a certain number of tags, and you could fish whenever you want. The idea didn't go over well with people who right now, of course, don't have to pay anything. Do you think something like that could work to limit the number of fish, but also give that flexibility that you're looking for?
Well, I think what we need to talk about is not charging people to fish. They don't charge, I don't think, in other provinces to fish. Why would they charge Newfoundlanders and Labradorians to go out and catch cod? But I think there needs to be, the management piece is important. We all recognize this. We're not talking about opening up a fishery where everybody can go out and continue to catch fish. We have to get back to what the principle of this is meant to be. It's meant to be a food fishery. It's meant to be an opportunity for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians to be able to catch some cod, to have in their fridge, to have fresh cod. Maybe they take some home and salt it, but it becomes part of their food and the opportunity to do that.
What sort of reaction have you had to this pitch?
Very positive, actually. The comments that I have received back have been positive because I think we all understand the need for conservation, but we also are extremely worried about forcing people on the water in unsafe conditions. And we want, as Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, simply to be treated with fairness and equality, just like the rest of Atlantic Canada.
Well, thanks for taking some time and explaining it for us.
Thank you, Peter.
We heard Tony Wakeham there talking about the concern around weather when it comes to the food fishery. Going into the second weekend, how is it looking for people who want to head out on the water?
Well, the good news is tomorrow generally looks like light winds, although things will change as we head into the afternoon because we've got the risk of some thunderstorms at play through tomorrow. So definitely keep an eye tomorrow if you are planning on heading out. I can tell you today it was warm, though, especially with that humidex. Earlier today, the humidex was about 32 in St. John's. Temperatures have dropped now, about 18 degrees in St. John's. Feels more like 23. Still feels like 29 in Terra Nova, though. That is the warmest spot across the province at the moment. And up across Labrador, your temperatures are generally sitting in the teens. 16 degrees in Nain right now. Watching the temperatures on the west coast because temperatures certainly dropped this afternoon as some thunderstorms moved through, down to 18 degrees in Stephenville. Well, it feels like about 23 with that humidex, but we can see that thunderstorm activity on the west coast of the island. A few showers moving through for the east as well. That will generally continue, but I'm going to zoom in here just to show you that thunderstorm activity. It looks like it's kind of breaking apart at the moment right now. Not a whole lot of lightning associated with it, not super heavy showers, but it's moving through fairly quickly, a little bit offshore there as well. So definitely keep an eye. Like I said, it will not last long once it moves through, but we could see some small hail associated with that and some locally heavy rainfall as well. Went away. I did have the photos. I did have your live shots, but anyway, they're gone. Nope, gone again. Okay. But as we head through tonight, we've got that thick fog, which is what I was trying to show you on the south coast of the island. That is going to continue tonight, the rain, drizzle, and fog, because we've got this, the humid air, and that really will continue for the next couple of days as we continue to see this southerly flow. The showers and thunderstorms potential on the west coast of the island will eventually end over the next couple of hours. The showers will end anyway, and we'll see some showers and rain continue for essentially the eastern portion of the island through the overnight. We'll see that especially as we head into tomorrow morning as well. And then for Labrador, some showers will move through. By the time we get into tomorrow morning, things will start to clear out for those of you in Lab West. Overall, tonight, temperatures will sit somewhere between 13 to 16 degrees across the island. Northern Peninsula, cooler single digits. Same thing for the coast of Labrador and Lab West. Around Happy Valley Goose Bay, you'll be hovering around the 12-degree mark through your overnight tonight. So tomorrow is going to start cloudy. We'll still be dealing with some rain showers in the east. Then the afternoon, we should see some sunshine for the west coast, parts of central as well. Lab West looks beautiful tomorrow. Same thing for the north coast, but we're still going to be dealing with some showers in the morning hours. Eventually that will taper off and start to see some clearing as we head towards the evening hours. That is when the risk of thunderstorms will develop. That will be the story for central, south coast, even parts of the Avalon. By the time we get into the supper hour tomorrow, and even into the evening and overnight, still looking at that risk of some thunderstorms for that time period. Just taking a look at Labrador, by the time we get into Sunday morning, you'll start to see some shower activity. So here's the best risk of some thunderstorms. I do think through central parts of the west coast, if you do see them develop tomorrow, we could be talking about some fairly heavy rain, gusty winds, potentially small hail, and yeah, frequent lightning. That's likely the what's going to happen through the day. As far as the rain goes, most of the rain that we're seeing now will continue, where we're looking about 20 to 30 millimeters still left to fall by the time we get into Saturday afternoon for the southeast. Temperatures tomorrow will sit around 20 to 25 degrees, and again, humid is what it will feel like, but along the south coast and the northeast coast, temperatures 10 to 13 degrees, maybe even 14 degrees tomorrow. Same thing for southeastern portions of Labrador, the north and west though. You're looking at some breezy winds late day. They'll be gusting around 50 kilometers per hour, but your temperatures will be nice. And that's going to continue. I'll get into the long range coming up a little later.
Canada Games is just around the corner, and some long-anticipated facilities are opening their doors for the very first time. The CBC's Jenna Head reports.
In just over a month, thousands of athletes, coaches, and their families will arrive in St. John's for this year's Canada Games. And while the Newfoundland jig isn't a competitive sport, it is an act of celebration, as the Fortis Canada Games complex opens its doors for what organizers say will be the best Canada Games ever.
We can't wait to welcome the country to Fortis Canada Games complex. And thank you for being part of this incredible moment in our journey to the 2025 best Canada Games ever.
The $34 million complex is located on Lambs Lane next to Memorial University. It is home to a 400-meter 8-lane track, a FIFA-quality pro-certified artificial soccer turf, and an indoor training facility for the development of amateur-level sport.
My kids and my grandkids and people from all across the province are going to benefit from all the effort that put into building this infrastructure, not for the 2 weeks of the Canada Games, but for the years and decades to come.
Fortis donated $1 million for this recreational facility.
We are so happy to see the athletes out there. That's what it's really all about, is the young people across Canada who are going to come here, show what they did with their training, their development, and it's more than just athletics. Athletics is just one part of who these people are, and they will grow into the future leaders of Canada, I have no doubt.
The Canada Games will start in St. John's on August 8th, and in the meantime, be prepared to see lots of athletes get practice right here. Jenna Head, CBC News, St. John's.
The RCMP are investigating a defaced Pride crosswalk in Botwood. The crosswalk near Botwood Collegiate is rainbow-colored for Pride. Sometime Wednesday night, police say someone spray-painted the words "Walk of Sham" on the crosswalk. The RCMP believes the vandals meant to spell shame. They're looking for anyone who has information about the crime. Well, as we heard earlier in the show, the province wants to reduce its reliance on private agency nurses in the healthcare system. That's one message Premier John Hogan is making clear in the wake of last week's bombshell Auditor General report. He says while agency nurses are sometimes necessary to deliver healthcare services, it's clear there needs to be more oversight in the system.
You know, it's troubling to hear some of the things that came out in the AG report. I certainly want to talk about this as two issues. We've long talked about the need to decrease our reliance on travel nurses. We support NLHS's approach in doing that. We support the Nurses Union in asking for that. But we do need to recognize, and the people of the province need to recognize, that there was a need for travel nurses to ensure that healthcare is being delivered to all Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, most particularly in rural and remote parts of the province. So that's one issue. The second issue is the payment being made to agency nurses. So it's unacceptable for any entity of this province, and the government included, to be paying things that aren't in line with what is needed to be paid out. We need to continue to further look at that, and anyone that did something in error or improper or didn't follow policy or procedure, we certainly need to look at that and hold that person to account. So I don't want to conflate the issues. You know, we are, as I said, trying to decrease and support NLHS and decreasing the reliance on agency nurses. But our mandate, and their mandate, of course, is always to provide the best possible health care to Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. But we need to do it making sure that every dollar that's spent on healthcare in this province goes towards healthcare.
You were the health minister for a period of time that is covered by this report. Should there have been more oversight or things done differently?
So clearly, you know, there needed to be an additional layer there to make sure that these improper payments weren't being made. So we'll continue to look at that now. And as I said, people need to understand that agency nurses are needed in certain parts of the province, and healthcare is always going to be a priority for our government.
What's your message to nurses in the province who say their confidence in the system has maybe been shaken?
So anyone who feels that way, I'd love to talk to them and hear them. I would never dismiss a comment like that if that's how people feel. I trust that that's the feeling that they're having, and we need to work to rebuild any trust that's been lost with regards to our healthcare system. We've been rebuilding the healthcare system over the last 4 or 5 years. It's taking a lot of work, a lot of money, a lot of effort, and we've made great strides. We're continuing to build our family care teams in this province. We're continuing to see more surgeries that were done prior to the pandemic. Cardiac care is getting better. Orthopedic care is getting better, but we still have a lot of work to do. So there is going to be still bumps in the road as we rebuild a system that's decades old. I mean, 60, 70 years old, this healthcare system in this province. So you don't rebuild it overnight. But it is a priority for us to get it right. And anyone who has concerns and issues and isn't feeling that it's going in the right direction, this is what we're here for. We're here to talk to those people, especially people who work in the system like nurses, because the system's not going to function without nurses. So I thank them for their hard work day in and day out, the work that they do for our healthcare system.
Well, the Churchill Park Music Festival has announced another headliner, and it ain't no hollaback girl. Gwen Stefani will be performing in St. John's on Sunday, July 27th. She's best known for her time in the band No Doubt and a bunch of other solo hits. This announcement comes on the heels of the news that her husband, country star Blake Shelton, will be performing the day before. Tickets for Stefani's headline show go on sale this Tuesday. A man originally from this province rescued a young boy on the Ottawa River this week. A 42-year-old father drowned, but his 8-year-old son was saved by David Hickey, who was out for a run and heard the screams for help. Aya Dufour has that story.
On a hot summer day like today, many come to Ottawa's waterways to cool down. And while these waters may seem calm, conditions are not always what they seem. This stretch of the Ottawa River between Westboro Beach and Island Park was the scene of a tragedy on Wednesday. 8-year-old William Navarro went swimming here. His mother says he slipped on a rock and went underwater. His father, Roel Navarro, tried to rescue him but ended up in trouble himself. David Hickey was on a run along the river. He says another person tried to save the kid and his father but was also struggling to stay afloat. That's when he jumped in.
They were only about 20 yards off the shore, but the thing is, it's quite shallow and then there's a big drop off and that's where the current really gets messy.
Both the kid and the other person were underwater by the time David reached them, and he had to act quick.
The guy tried to pass me the kid, but then he was struggling to stay up, so I managed to grab the kid and paddle backwards, and then I told the other guy to hold on to the kid. So as we were going back, they were both on the surface.
Once he brought them safely to shore, he tried to assess whether he could go back in and rescue the dad, but realized it was too risky.
Once we came back in, everyone's yelling about the dad being out there. I knew that I wasn't a good enough swimmer to go back out and look for something that went under the water. So I was able just to say we got to wait for the first responders. So I think the most important thing for people to remember is that you can't really help anyone else if you're out of commission yourself, right?
Navarro's wife of 16 years, Amanda Lafleur, says he was an excellent father who loved caring for his children, taking them to the park or the beach. As she grieves her husband, she offers this advice.
Hold your loved ones close because you never know. Things can change in the blink of an eye.
Numerous fundraisers have been launched to help the family, and Lafleur says she's received many offers of help from community members. Aya Dufour, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, there's a little more color in Deer Lake. Students and faculty at Xavier Academy have created free little art galleries in different locations around the town. Take a look.
Everyone needs a bit of art in their life, so we can all be creative here in the box. Hi, my name is Joelle Moss.
Hi, my name's Paige Anstey.
This is our Art in a Box project. It's basically we're like the mini libraries, but you take art and leave art.
So we had someone outside of our school build them, and they were very quick being built, and then the town installed them for us.
The art is all like student made and like kids around the town made as well. There's one at the beach, the nature trail. There's one in our Hodder Stadium, and then there's gonna be one at the seniors' home. This one's at the beach, so it's filled with beach stuff. And the one at the nature trail is filled with like nature art. So they're all a bit unique to their locations.
Hi, my name is Petra Snook. I teach art at Xavier Junior High School, grades 7, 8, and 9, and also social studies. So the FLAG movement stands for Free Little Art Gallery, and they're throughout North America and probably even around the world. As far as we know, this is the first one in Newfoundland. Well, art's a great way to focus on mental health issues and wellness, right? So we're bringing art to the community of Deer Lake and sharing it with the community. So I think it's a fantastic way to just encourage everybody, no matter if they're young, preschool age, or senior citizens in Deer Lake, to get involved in art.
Well, summertime is great for bird watchers, but as this archival piece from 2012 shows us, sometimes the birds watch back. The CBC's Atso Rizori explains.
In behind Harvey Street and Garrison Hill in downtown St. John's, there's this little patch of woods. A pair of crows has been nesting here this summer and produced one offspring. A fledgling by now, but not yet moving around a lot. Its parents are fiercely protective of it, as several human neighbours have found out, including Randy Roach.
I was walking to Tim Hortons, and I heard some crows screaming, and then one flew past me, and his wing actually hit me in the head. I thought it was a car after striking him, but then all of a sudden another crow come and actually landed on my shoulder and started pecking at my head. And I sort of flicked them off, and the two crows, one flew up on the wires and one went to a branch, and they both were up there squawking and freaking out. And then I noticed that there was a young crow. He looked like he was injured, sitting on the side, so I guess they were protecting him.
Well, that was certainly worth investigating, so we proceeded the same way. And sure enough, there was the young crow, and there were the parents, tolerating me no more than they tolerated Randy Roach. Neighbours told us they're getting used to it. They had the same trouble with crows here a few years ago. At Fitzroy, CBC News in Crowtown, St. John's.
And now, with Glenn Tilley and Ann Budgell.
Good evening, everyone. In Newfoundland and Labrador tonight.
You gotta wait till the negotiations are over.
They use 90 to 120-foot longliners.
The center is scheduled to shut down at the end of this month.
There are so many of you celebrating birthdays and anniversaries this weekend. Happy 55th wedding anniversary to Rodney and Mary Ingram of Lewisport. Alonzo and Lucy Stride of Burntberry Pond are celebrating their 57th anniversary. It's also a 57th anniversary for Bruce and Ivy Ackerman of Dildo. formerly of Mary's Harbour, Labrador. Happy 66th anniversary to Netta and Raymond Layden of Canning's Cove. Happy 57th anniversary to Hayward and June Bennett. Happy 64th anniversary wishes going to David and Dolly Hall of Mount Pearl. Sending happy 50th wedding anniversary wishes to Ron and Joyce Shepherd, formerly of Point Leamington, now living in Paradise. Millie and Maxwell Sevier, formerly of Exploits Island, are celebrating their 73rd anniversary, continuing to live their best life in St. John's. Happy 50th anniversary to Rhonda and Gordy O'Brien from family and friends in St. John's, especially the 1452s, which is the Knights of Columbus House Band. Tony and Jeannie Collins of Gander are married 50 years today. Congratulations. Happy 54th anniversary to Ernest and Shirley Mullins of Upper Island Cove. Happy 50th anniversary to Roy and Joyce Decker of Happy Valley Goose Bay. Happy 50th anniversary to Edmund and Sandra Loader of North Harbour, Placentia Bay. Happy anniversary to Gerald and Joyce Hannum of Lewisport, who celebrated their 66th anniversary. Congratulations to Bessie and Gordon Bartlett of Kippens, who are celebrating their 71st wedding anniversary. Happy 57th anniversary to Shirley and Lloyd Banfield of Ochre Pit Cove. Happy 63rd anniversary to Dave and Patsy Carmichael of St. John's. Happy 50th wedding anniversary to Clive and Phyllis Kahn of Summerford. Greetings to Mervyn and Ruth Stacy of Stephenville, who celebrated their 57th wedding anniversary. Clayton and Louise Eastman are celebrating their golden anniversary today. Congratulations. It's also a golden anniversary for Debbie and Philip Hibbs of Conception Bay South. Happy 56th anniversary to Betty and George Badcock of Gambo. Happy 60th anniversary to Mary and Dan Burke of Victoria. Happy 50th anniversary to Philip and Joyce Bennett of St. George's. Happy 56th wedding anniversary to Kaywood and Dora Rideout of Cornerbrook. Happy 66th anniversary to Percy and Sarah Collins of Hare Bay, Bonavista Bay. Happy 60th anniversary to Alan and Nina James. Celebrating 50 years, it's David and Mona Vaders of Clark's Beach. Happy 55th anniversary to Frank and Jerry Making. Wishing John and Elaine Spurl of Hodges Cove a happy 54th wedding anniversary. Happy 50th anniversary to Wayne and Rosalind McCarthy, who live in Harbour Grace. Happy anniversary to Florence and Jack Head on their 61st anniversary. Now, taking a look at some birthdays. Happy 98th birthday to Cora Wilton, formerly of Wiltondale, now living in Norris Point. Happy 90th birthday to Beulah Thorne. She's originally from Happy Adventure, Bonavista Bay, and a longtime resident of Gander. Millie Sevier, formerly of Exploits Island, is celebrating her 92nd birthday. She now lives in St. John's. Happy 94th birthday to Michael Woodford of Holyrood. The next one is a big one, wishing Teresa Murphy a happy 100th birthday. Born in Curling, now living at St. Pat's home in St. John's. A big congratulations for you. Happy 90th birthday to Herb Hewitt of Cormac. Happy birthday to Ed James on his 90th birthday. Formerly of Trepassey, he now lives in St. John's for over 55 years. Congratulations to everyone who's celebrating. It really does feel like the summer weather has come early for most of the province. As we start to look into Sunday and the next week, is it going to keep going? I feel like we're pushing our luck. At some point, you're just like, nope, there's going to be fog, it's going to be mozzie, it's going to drizzle on you, and you're going to have to just live with it.
I do keep waiting for that in the forecast, but the good news is I don't really see that, which is good. Definitely seeing some mild temperatures out there. Seasonable temperatures, let's just say that. Let's take a look at what's going on as we head through our Saturday evening. So this is when we're looking at the best chance of some thunderstorms, again, through central and eastern areas of the island. Really all across the island, you're looking at that risk of thunderstorms as this area of low pressure moves in. And I do think some of these will be fairly strong. We could be talking about the potential for hail, frequent lightning, and some gusty winds, and certainly some heavy rain. So keep that in mind if you have any plans on Saturday evening. The potential exists there for them to linger through the overnight as well. But as we head into Saturday morning, we'll see some showers move through Lab West along another front. Most of the island will stay a little cloudy, but we should see some sun peek out into the afternoon. I think it'll be a little less cloudy than what you're seeing here, but we will see showers move back in late in the day for the west coast along that front, and really southeastern Labrador, you're going to see that as well. Overall temperatures will be somewhere in the low to mid 20s and even in the teens along the south coast, north coast of our northern peninsula rather. And then for Labrador, anywhere from the upper teens to low 20s will be the story for you, with exception along the strait where temperatures onshore flow will keep those temperatures only about 12 or 13 degrees through the day on Sunday. Taking a look at Monday, again, unsettled. That front will continue to move through. So Sunday night, we'll start to see that rain through central and eastern areas of the island. That will linger through Monday morning. And really will continue through the evening hours for most of eastern Newfoundland. We'll start to see some clearing for the northern peninsula and then Labrador as well. Temperatures will sit somewhere in the 20s again. Central areas likely into the mid to upper 20s through the day. And this is when we'll start to see some humid weather across Labrador as well. But overall, your daytime highs will sit between the upper teens and low 20s. Long range forecast Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland will be a rainy one, or at least shower chances right across the board, anywhere from 19 to 22 degrees through the beginning of next week. For central Newfoundland, a little nicer. You're also looking at much warmer weather. Temperatures will be in the 20s. We will see a little bit of a dip in the humidity, though, for Tuesday, Wednesday at this point, so things will be a bit drier. Not good news, though, for the fire risk. Expect that to definitely go up. And then for western Newfoundland, you're looking at your temperatures in the 20s and a nice stretch of weather there Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Labrador, overall, your daytime highs will be in the 20s as well. We're looking at some shower chances, though, by the time we get into Wednesday for the west. Our weather photo today is taken in Loon Bay. Take a look at this beauty. The sunsets lately have been stunning. This is Bread and Cheese Cove. Their beautiful evening. Thank you to Paul West for that. If you have any weather photos that you'd like to share with us, we'd love to see them. You can share them to my Facebook page or email them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
The only thing that would make that even better? A little loon just out there in Loon Bay.
In Loon Bay.
But yeah, I love a good sunset, so.
That's one of my favorite sounds.
The loon, the little
woohoo. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, the little, I didn't do it very well. But.
No, but that's okay. It's just summer. It
Stick
just
to my
reminds
day
me of
job.
summer. Yeah, good idea.
But yeah, no, it does. It's a very summer sort of sound.
Yeah.
To be out looking over the water and just hear the bird call off in the distance.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Well, that's it for us for Here and Now for this week. Thanks so much for watching. Carolyn should be back on Monday.
Yep.
And but it's been an absolute pleasure spending the evening with you. Have a great weekend, and she'll be back with you next week.
Good night.
Good night.